Hi, it's Glenn. Welcome to Dugout to Cardboard. Thanks for tuning in. Today I want to continue my personal experience journey toward my minor league career. A few episodes ago, you saw me talk about our Little League teams, incredible Little League teams that we had that won 2 World Series championships and almost made it back for an attempt at a third, with 5 of us on those teams eventually going on to play professionally. Also, something I want to bring up today for the first time is basketball. I haven't talked about it yet, but you'll see as we move into my high school experience, basketball becomes more and more important to me. Growing up, baseball was always my first love and always the sport I was better at between the two. But you'll see in this episode and future episodes how basketball becomes very critical to me. Playing both sports was very important to me. And also, the linkage that you'll see continue on throughout my college experience with basketball. And believe it or not, it will show up in my minor league baseball stories as well. Even into my sports card collecting hobby and journey, basketball cards also become a major part of that. So just a little bit of another tease to keep everybody around for future episodes to see how I link basketball and minor league baseball together. So the next phase of my journey starts in high school. I went to Sullivan South High School in Kingsport, Tennessee. We were known as the Rebels. The school was built in 1981 time frame. So I started as a freshman in 1985. So I know I'm getting up there in age when the high school I went to is now, almost 40 years later, been turned into a middle school. So it's not even a high school anymore. So there's been a lot of things going on around the area with high schools and middle schools, but still to know that the high school I went to really doesn't exist, at least as a high school anymore, is tough. Makes you realize how much older I'm getting pretty quickly. Here's a picture I dug up from a yearbook that shows the outside of the school. So a lot of great memories at this high school. And the parking lot there, was one that I recall vividly, just beginning to drive when I was a junior and senior. That was one of the highlights, was driving to school. So I remember the parking lot there right in front of the school that was a popular place as we got older and learned how to drive and was able to drive to school. In this episode about high school, I'll continue to weave in baseball cards. At the end of the episode today, I'm going to show some teammates and some people that paved the way for me, and also some opponents that I played against during high school that made it to the minor leagues and played professionally, and have some cards that I was able to obtain. So for my high school experience, let's start off with basketball. We'll run through the 4 years of basketball, then we'll move over to baseball. As I mentioned, basketball was not the sport that I was great at. Baseball was that. So I was good enough to be on the varsity team in basketball as a freshman and sophomore, but really not good enough to get any significant playing time. Here are some pictures, a team picture and an individual picture of me, I think when I was a sophomore. Again, fortunate to be on the varsity team, but not getting a lot of playing time. As my junior year started, I was getting a lot more playing time, a little bit more playing time. I wouldn't say a lot, a little bit more playing time on varsity. But about halfway through the year, I'll credit the basketball coaches for this. They made a little bit of a unique decision to let me go down and play junior varsity as a junior, which was kind of not normal, probably still not too normal to this day. I was getting a little bit of playing time on varsity, but they thought, again, give them credit. They hopefully saw the potential that if I got more playing time, maybe I would continue to grow in my basketball skills. And that's exactly what happened. They put me on the JV team about halfway through my junior year. I was able to go down and start on the junior varsity, and ended up leading the junior varsity team to the district championship tournament victory, and I was named MVP of the district tournament for the junior varsity. So even as a junior, it was an opportunity for me to get more playing time, to start to become a key component of the team, and really just launched my confidence off the charts and headed into my senior year. As I started my senior year, we had a great team of seniors. All 5 starters on the basketball team were seniors. Here's a picture of our team, our program, and an individual picture and some newspaper clippings that I was able to retain over the years. So senior year was a great season. We had a great regular season with some huge wins over some of our biggest rivals. One memory that stands out to me was beating Dobyns-Bennett, one of our big rivals, if not our biggest rival, on their home court. And my best friend, you'll hear a little bit more about Andy Creech later, but he was my best friend in high school and the best man in my wedding as well. So what I remember about basketball my senior year, Andy didn't play basketball. He played baseball and football. But he was in the stands all the time for basketball games and one of our biggest, fans. And as we closed out a victory against Dobyns-Bennett on their home court, yes, on their home court, our student section rushed the court. And right as the game ended, I turned around, and before I could even see him, he was leaping on me and tackling me and started a big dog pile. And to this day, I think both of us have mentioned that we thought we might die at the bottom of that dog pile. People just kept piling on and on and on. And if you've never been at the bottom of a dog pile, it can get a little scary. I remember we were yelling and screaming for folks to get off so we wouldn't get crushed to death down at the bottom. But great times, great memories. But the senior year was a good one for basketball, and was able to start and have a lot more playing time, and actually ended up all conference as a senior in basketball. So again, credit to the coaches the prior year that saw the opportunity for me to gain some confidence by playing junior varsity as a junior, and not taking that as a slam or a disrespect thing, but actually using that as an opportunity to get some playing time and grow my basketball skills. So switching over to baseball in my 4-year career in high school, again, as a freshman, it was pretty uneventful. Even with baseball being my better sport, we had a lot of talent at our high school for baseball, and still didn't get much opportunity as a freshman. We had a lot of great players in that lineup. Didn't get a chance to crack the lineup. Here are some pictures of me as a freshman and our team picture as a freshman. You can see just look like a baby there. So moving into our sophomore year, I was the number 3 pitcher on our team. The number 1, our ace pitcher, was a senior, Jimmy Wingfield. He was our all-star superstar. And number 2 pitcher was a hard-throwing junior, Chad Carter. So I was fortunate enough to be the number 3 pitcher. So I got to start quite a few games throughout the regular season. We had a decent regular season. We weren't tremendous by any means, but we got hot at the right time. Like any sport today, it's not how you start, it's how you end. And we started winning games at the end. We ended up going to the district tournament in our conference and winning our conference tournament, which advanced us to the regionals. And in regionals, we beat Daniel Boone and Morristown West in our region to advance to a sub-state game for a chance to make it to the state tournament. Our sub-state game was against Knoxville Central High School. And fortunately for us, some of the great players for Knox Central were a year behind me and 2 or 3 years behind me. Here are 2 players that played at Knox Central. You'll recognize one of them, Bubba Trammell. He was on our first World Series team when we were 10 years old. He was a pickup for us, but he was the one player that played significant time in the major leagues. So Bubba was on that Knoxville Central team, but was also young like I was. I believe he might have been a year younger than me. The other player that reigns from Knoxville Central, Todd Helton. I'm sure a lot of people will know that name. Major League Baseball Hall of Famer. Todd was probably in the 8th grade, I think, when I was in the 10th grade as a sophomore, and we played them for sub-state games. So probably not into high school yet. He probably could have played on the high school team as an 8th grader, but fortunate for us, he wasn't there yet, so didn't have to face him. But 2 great players that played at Knoxville Central High School that I wanted to share some cards with today. Anyway, back to the season. We were able to beat Knoxville Central. That put us into the state tournament with 3 other teams. Here is the program from the state tournament. You can see the 4 teams that were there. We were definitely the underdogs. You can see our record, 24-11. The other 3 teams were perennial powers, Chattanooga Baylor, Christian Brothers High School from Memphis, and a team from Smyrna High School. Definitely between Baylor and Christian Brothers, probably the two perennial powers that were the likely favorites heading into that tournament. You can see our record 24-11 was the worst of the four, but again, we got hot at the right time and were able to make it to the state tournament. So as I mentioned, I was the number 3 starter of that season with a 4-team double elimination state tournament. There was a chance that we could get through the tournament with only 2 starting pitchers. The pitching limits back then were a little different, I think, than they are today. So if you won, 3 straight games, there was probably a pretty good chance that you could have your number 1 pitcher pitch the first one, your number 2 pitch the second one, and your number 1 come back for the third one. So that would have been a great game plan. Unfortunately, we got to the second game. We did win the first game. Our ace, Jimmy Wingfield, won the first game for us. So we went to the championship game of the winners bracket, and our second pitcher struggled a little bit early. We were down 2-0 in the second inning, and the opposing team, Smyrna, had runners on first and second with 1 out. So Coach Klein, you'll hear a little bit more about Coach Klein later, but Coach Klein called my number and put me in the game to try to get us out of a jam there. And here I was, 6'4", 145 pounds, the newspaper article says. Here's a picture of me. You can tell soaking wet, maybe 145 pounds, but again, skin and bones at that point in time, plus being a sophomore. I wasn't a hard thrower by any means at that point. More of a curveball, junk ball pitcher, keeping the ball down, making the hitters hit it, and letting our defense make the plays. And fortunately, that's exactly what happened. The first pitch that I threw after coming in the second inning, runners on first and second, 1 out, was supposedly, quote unquote, a hard shot to third base. I like to think it might not have been a great hard shot, maybe a slow roller, but probably was hit pretty hard, I'm sure. I was probably nervous, and so the hitter got a good part of the bat on it, hit it hard to third base, but our third baseman snagged it, flagged it down, stepped on third for the force out, and then threw across to the first baseman for the double play and got us out of an inning in 1 pitch. So pretty fortunate start for a young sophomore coming into the state tournament. Ended up finishing that game, pitched the rest of the game, and we ended up coming back to win 8-3. So that was a great time for me to really blossom in my confidence in baseball as well, and put us in the championship game, and waiting on the losers bracket to complete and have to be beat twice in order to lose the state title. So fortunately, our ace was able to come back in and pitch the next game against Christian Brothers High School. We ended up winning 8-2, so didn't have to go to a if necessary game, and we won the state championship in 1987. So great times, great memories. And here are some pictures of the team, and actually this visit from Coach Klein to myself and our catcher there, Mark Harris, was a senior. That was at the state tournament game there against Smyrna. So, didn't get through it with a whole lot of ease, I'm sure, but he had to make a few trips out to calm me down a few times. But again, great opportunity for me to come in and pitch as a young sophomore and be successful and help the team win a state championship. It was the first major sports title, I think first sports title of any sort for Sullivan South High School. Again, I mentioned it was fairly new high school, less than 10 years old at this time, but it was our first state championship in any sport. This was our high school championship state baseball ring. So again, with championships come the opportunity to take home the hardware. So 1987, you can see the little icon of the Rebel inside the gym there. Around the top, state champions, AAA division. That was the highest level for Tennessee baseball at the time. So we were one of the larger schools in the state from a population perspective. So we played in the highest division. 1987 with a baseball diamond there on that side, and our name right there with my number 15. And then, I'm not sure you can see it, but our name inscribed inside there, Glenn Ernest Cullop. So got to bring home the hardware. Can't say I've wore this too many times, but A great opportunity to, again, keep a piece of memorabilia from a successful time of our lives and a championship ring. So thought I'd share that with you as well, along with this state championship story. One little unique linkage back to my minor league playing days, though, here with the state championship was it was played in Nashville, Tennessee at a stadium called Greer Stadium. And 7 years later, fast forward, when I'm playing in the minor leagues for Chattanooga Lookouts, Nashville Sounds played at Greer Stadium. So in that season of 1994, when we went to play Nashville a few times, I was able to come back in, revisit the stadium, and even pitch on the same mound that I pitched on 7 years prior and winning the state championship as a sophomore. So that was pretty neat. I remember thinking that was cool to go back to the scene of the state championship and be able to pitch again. Junior and senior years came and saw me move up to the number 2 pitcher my junior year, and then eventually the number 1 pitcher as a senior, and some individual pictures of a senior year. We had some great teams that year, those 2 years, but had some poor outings in the postseason. Both years in the district tournament, we were upset, so we never made it out of the district to go to the regionals, unfortunately. I do have some game balls here from my senior year that I'm going to share, and we'll turn the camera around and we'll talk about these 4 great games that I had opportunities to retain the baseballs from. All right, this first ball is from March 28th of 1989. Yeah, playing baseball in late March is never fun. I'm a hot weather person. I remember even growing up in high school, if it was cold outside, and especially if I had to pitch, I was wearing like sweatpants underneath my baseball pants just so I could stay warm. Of course, weighing 145 pounds, I didn't have a whole lot of protection, but March baseball is never any fun. But anyway, had a successful day this day against a high school, volunteer high school at their home field. Pitched a 3-hitter, had 11 strikeouts, and we won 1-0. So again, an example of the timing and the pitch counts. That was March 28th. Here's April 1st, so pretty shortly thereafter, a few days, against Sullivan East at our home field on April 1st of 1989. We won 3-1. Gave up 7 hits and struck out 10 hitters. So another great back-to-back outing there for me. A little bit later in April 17th, 1989, against Volunteer again, this time at home. Won 8-1. Didn't give up any earned runs. Only gave up 2 hits and had 9 strikeouts. So a great game there as well. And then the last ball I have here looks like last regular season game at home, and I think we didn't play any postseason games at home either, so this would have been the last time I pitched on our home field in high school. So we won 11-0 against Sullivan Central, and this was again April 24th. Gave up 4 hits and had 4 strikeouts, but again, pretty good piece of memorabilia with the last outing of my high school career at home. Pretty special there. Those balls have, along with all the other newspaper articles and sports clippings and things like that, have always been in usually the same closet as my baseball cards over the last 25, 30, 35, 40 years now. So again, fortunate to have hung on to those things for so long, and coming in handy now as I'm able to read back through a lot of this information and bring back some great memories. Now I want to create that linkage between my playing days, this time in high school, with baseball cards. And what I want to do now is share some players that paved the way, some teammates and some opponents, and some stories of each. All right, the first player I want to talk about is Garland Kaiser. Garland was a few years older than me, 3 years older than me to be precise. He went to the high school, Sullivan Central. You heard me talk about that one already. So one of our rival high schools. He was a pitcher, left-handed pitcher, and he was drafted in the 24th round out of high school by the Philadelphia Phillies. And Eventually played most of his career with the Cleveland Indians organization. I actually got a cup of coffee in the major leagues. He pitched in 7 games with 4 innings pitched in 1991 with the Cleveland Indians. So flip it around here, you can see Garland resides, or hometown, Blountville, Tennessee. That's just right outside of Kingsport, where I grew up. And his overall minor league career, he ended up playing 9 seasons in the minor leagues from 1986 to 1994. This is a 1993 card, so it doesn't have his entire statistics on there. But thanks to baseballreference.com, able to look at his entire career: 40 wins, 29 losses, 3.52 ERA, with 18 saves in his minor league career. And again, with that short cup of coffee in 1991 with Cleveland. Actually, that's on here as well, that line item right there for 1991 for Cleveland, 7 games. So was able to make the major leagues. And again, one of those guys that a few years older than me, but obviously me being in high school, knowing about Garland, middle school and high school, knowing about Garland and his ability to, move from high school into the minor leagues, paved the way and made it seem possible that folks from our area could make it to the major leagues, or even though, especially the minor leagues. All right, second player. It says Bill Parham, but it's Billy Parham. He went by when he was younger. Billy was a member of my high school. Now, he was 5 years older than me, so quite a bit older than me. Didn't get a chance to interact with him a whole lot, but some unique connections with Billy. His stepdad, Bill Burgess, was our head coach in our second Little League World Series team when I was 12 years old. So Billy obviously was around during that time, so I was able to get to know him a little bit when we were very little, and then got to follow his career. Billy finished up high school, was a great hitter and pitcher, both in high school, at my high school, Sullivan South. So again, even closer to home, that says, hey, even somebody from my high school can make it to the minor leagues. Billy went on after high school to play at Georgia Tech. Played both pitching. He was both a pitcher and a hitter at Georgia Tech. You can see he had some pretty prestigious hitting statistics at Georgia Tech. But ended up making it to the minor leagues as a pitcher in the Dodgers organization. He pitched for 2 seasons, had 9 wins, 6 losses, 4.43 earned run average. Pitched 105 innings and had 80 strikeouts in the minor leagues. So again, just one of those that was able to demonstrate to myself and other players that you can do this. You can be successful in high school, go into college and play, and also make it to play professionally. So big thanks to Billy for paving the way, especially for our high school folks. All right, now let's move to some teammates. David Fitzpatrick was a member of both of our Little League World Series championship teams. He was 2 years younger than me, so a sophomore when I was a senior. So as I was the number 1 pitcher as a senior, David was our number 2 as a sophomore. So lots of talent here. He was a great pitcher. And he was drafted in the 13th round in 1991 by the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he spent his first couple years with the Dodgers in the minor leagues and ended up in the Chicago White Sox organization. He pitched for 4 seasons in the minor leagues, had 5 wins, 7 losses, 4.24 ERA, 102 innings pitched, and 95 strikeouts. So a good minor league stint for David as well. So he was the one teammate from Sullivan South that I played with that played professionally. This is my card. I'll show it real quick. You've seen it before. I've got a few other cards. I'll eventually show those as we continue on this journey. But I was a free agent signee in 1992 of the Cincinnati Reds, and we'll talk more about my career and my statistics as we get into some future episodes. But now we'll move into the opponents and who we played against in high school. You already saw Todd Helton and Bubba Trammell. Todd wasn't on the team yet for Knoxville Central, but Bubba was. So these are more local folks. Knoxville's about an hour and a half away from us, so these are more local high school opponents that again paved the way for others in this area to make it to the major leagues and minor leagues, just to show that it can be done from this area. Dallas Reinhardt, you've seen this name before. Dallas was on both Little League World Series championship teams with us. So Dallas in high school went to Sullivan Central High School, just down the road from Kingsport as well. You can see, where is he from? Kingsport, Tennessee. He was drafted in the 15th round. It says 18th selection here. Baseball Reference has 15th round. Well, we'll roll with it. 15th or 18th selection in the 1992 draft. Dallas was also a two-sport athlete, played against him in basketball also throughout high school. Had some great battles on the basketball court as well as the baseball diamond. He was a great hitter as well as a great pitcher. But when he went into the minor leagues, moved into pitching full-time, played 2 seasons in the California Angels organization, went 7-9 with a 5.59 earned run average, 133 innings, and 105 strikeouts. So Dallas was a great player here locally, and same age as me. We graduated in the same year in high school, so lots of commonalities between Dallas and myself. Two-sport athlete, basketball, baseball, same grade, and played together growing up as well. We'll move to another rival high school. I mentioned Dobyns-Bennett already, the team we beat in basketball that I thought I might die after we got the dog pile started. Ken Bonifay was a year older than me, and he went to Dobyns-Bennett. Now, I did play in some of the summer leagues with Ken as I grew up, Kenny as he went by as a younger fellow. His dad was also Ken Bonifay, just a small trivia fact there. And again, a year older than me, drafted in the 49th round in the 1991 draft by Pittsburgh. He played 7 seasons in the minor leagues, all with Pittsburgh. And the neat thing about Kenny and myself is we got to play against each other in the minor leagues in 2 separate occasions. In single A, he was with Salem, Virginia organization within Pittsburgh's minor league teams, and I was with Winston-Salem, North Carolina, out of the Cincinnati Reds organization. So we played against each other that year in 1993. And then in 1994, he was with Carolina, the Mudcats, in the organization for Pittsburgh AA, and I was in Chattanooga for the Reds, and we got to play against each other quite a bit that year as well. So it was always nice to see a friendly, familiar face from the past throughout the grueling minor league seasons. We'll talk more about that in future episodes, but on the road all the time, playing every day, there's a lot going on, so it's always good to see some familiar faces along the way. Another player on the Dobyns-Bennett team, Jimmy Alder, another familiar face. You saw this card during the Little League episode. Jimmy played on the first World Series Little League Championship team as 10-year-olds. Jimmy, again, was a huge power hitter and a great pitcher as well in high school. Jimmy was drafted in the 4th round of the 1990 draft, so he was a year younger than me. He played 4 seasons, all with the Detroit Tigers organization, had 1,250 at-bats, 211 career batting average, 33 home runs, 128 RBIs in the minor leagues. And again, the neat little tie with Jimmy and myself in the minor leagues was we didn't ever get to play against each other in the regular season, but during spring training we saw quite a bit of each other. Jimmy was with Detroit. Their headquarters or their home site for spring training was in Lakeland, Florida at that time, and Cincinnati, where I was in Plant City, Florida. So just 15-20 minute drive, and a lot of our games were scheduled between Detroit and Cincinnati just because we were so close to each other. So got to see him quite a bit during spring training in the month of March every year, and it was good to follow him and his career, knowing he was also somebody I played with growing up and against during high school. A third player from Dobyns-Bennett, a couple years younger than me, Mike Martin. Didn't know Mike very well during high school. Got to know him a little bit more after high school through some mutual friends. But Mike was a 10th round draft pick in 1993 for the St. Louis Cardinals. He played 2 seasons in the Cardinals organization, went 8 wins, 7 losses, 4.55 earned run average, 116 innings pitched, 101 strikeouts. A neat thing about Mike was he was able to play locally. This was, if you notice the front of the card, Johnson City Cardinals, Johnson City, Tennessee is where I reside today. This area is called the Tri-Cities between Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol, and up in the northeast corner of Tennessee. The Appalachian League, it was local here, still is local here, but they've changed affiliations. It's not affiliated with Major League Baseball anymore. But back in the 80s, the Appalachian League was the rookie league for a lot of the major league teams, and the Cardinals had a team here in Johnson City. So Mike was able to play locally here. And his second year, he played in Arizona in rookie league his first year. Then he moved up to Johnson City for the rookie league in the second year. All right, moving to another high school rival, Science Hill High School. Actually, the Science Hill High School is located here in Johnson City, where I reside today. Both of my girls went to Science Hill, so a lot of my friends growing up still hold it against me a little bit. I think that going to Sullivan South and as a student when I was younger, and then growing up and having my kids go to Science Hill was blasphemy, I guess. Maybe not quite as bad as Dobbins Bennett, but up there pretty close. Nah, just kidding. Science Hill is a great school, but we did have some big battles and big rivals during high school when I was at Sullivan South. Jeff Hostetler was my age, left-handed pitcher. Had some big battles on the mound, especially our senior years, as we were both our aces for the high school teams. Science Hill was a very talented team. Jeff was a great pitcher. He was drafted in the third round of the 1991 draft by the Expos, Montreal Expos. Says he was born in Jackson, Tennessee, but obviously went to high school here in Johnson City, Tennessee, and spent 4 seasons in the minor leagues, 11 wins, 12 losses, 4.66 earned run average, 210 innings, and 187 strikeouts. So it's pretty good statistics for Jeff. And again, tough left-handed pitcher, especially when we faced him in high school. All right, another Science Hill player, Gary Adams, better known to people that know him as Shorty Adams. He went to Science Hill High School. You can see he was 5'9", so hence his name Shorty, but boy, could he hit a baseball. He was also a pitcher in high school, but he could crush a baseball. He was drafted in the 42nd round of the 1989 draft out of high school by the Montreal Expos, and strong left-handed hitter. Same age as I was, so Jeff Hostetler, myself, and Shorty all graduated the same year. Dallas Reinhardt, we were all seniors at the same time. Played 3 seasons in the minor leagues, had 532 at-bats, 211 batting average, 17 home runs, and 70 RBIs. The great story I want to tell about Shorty is as good as he was at baseball, he was probably a better football player. He was an incredible running back for Science Hill during high school, was evidently recruited by a lot of the top Division I schools, but chose to go the baseball route. But Shorty was an incredible running back, and as I mentioned, Andy Creech, my best friend and best man at my wedding, was a linebacker on our football team for Sullivan South, and we did everything together. And one of the things we liked to do was talk a lot about sports, and we'd make bets and talk about, hey, I have to buy dinner if this happens, or you have to buy dinner if this happens. Nothing major, but we always like to have fun with that. So Gary Shorty here was an incredible running back, had an incredible start to his senior year, and had a couple of huge games, lots of yards, lots of touchdowns. Sullivan South was going to Science Hill to play them on Science Hill's home field. We had a bet that our team would not allow Shorty to get 100 yards. We would hold him under 100 yards rushing. So, that was going to be a challenge, but obviously Andy said the team was up for it. They had a game plan. Well, first play that Science Hill ran was about an 80-yard touchdown run by Shorty. I think I remember Andy even trying to find me in the crowd real quick after it was over, kind of after that play was over, trying to shrug his shoulders like, oh, okay. Well, it was funny. I just saw Andy even just yesterday and was telling him about this story I was going to tell about Shorty. And Andy's got a much better memory than I do, so he elaborated even more on that evening. Not only did he take the first play for 80 yards, Andy says we haven't tackled him yet. He evidently had 6 touchdowns in the first half. over 300 yards rushing in the first half and didn't even play the second half. Could have set all sorts of records if he'd have played the second half, but obviously got the better of us on the football field that day. Great football player, but great baseball player as well. And Shorty's kids went to Science Hill as well, with about the same age as my kids, so got to see Shorty a few times over the last few years as our girls went through high school with his kids as well. Two other folks that I don't have cards for that I've gotten to know a little bit more outside of my playing days and outside of high school, basically with our kids being so close in age. There were two other players on that Science Hill team with Jeff and Shorty, Chip Ray and Haynes Torbett, that I've gotten to know quite well over the years. So sorry I don't have the cards of Chip or Haynes. Maybe somebody out there can let me know if they exist, and I can get a hold of them to share them at some point. But gotten to know them pretty well with our kids being the same age. So again, Science Hill was a big rival for us with a lot of talent that went on to play minor league baseball. One thing I want to do is take just a few quick minutes to thank all the coaches I had during high school. Such huge inspirations to me, not just during that time, but even setting me up for success for college, and even just to be a better person in this world. So basketball wise, Carl Childress was my basketball coach as a freshman and sophomore years. My junior and senior years, Mike Williams took over, and Terry Taylor was the assistant coach. Steve Thompson was the junior varsity coach that allowed me to blossom so much as a junior. But it was Mike and Terry giving me the opportunity to play junior varsity and take that opportunity to get a lot better in basketball. So appreciate all they did in basketball. Moving over to baseball, Mike Klein was the head coach. You saw a picture of him talking to me there on the mound earlier. Mike was just a huge inspiration to me during high school, and again set me up for success in the future as well. Mark Wooten and Steve Thompson were the assistant coaches for me during high school and baseball. But Mike was a hard coach, no doubt about it. I think you talk to a lot of people that played for him, they'll admit that he was a hard, tough, disciplined coach. But obviously as you get older, you realize those are the best ones for sure. You learn so much from them. You learn so much discipline, teamwork, camaraderie. He got us to levels that we didn't even think we could get to ourselves, as evidenced by our state championship when I was a sophomore. But just a super, hard-nosed coach, but would do anything for you. But instilled a lot of great things in us as not just players, but as men, and allowed us to blossom in our careers in athletics as well as just personally. So thanks to all those folks that contributed a lot and don't get a lot of credit for what they do at that level when they're coaching and teaching and leading young people to understand, and not just the world of sports, but the world of life as well. All right, I appreciate you joining me on that little piece of history through my high school career. Now, one of the next steps will be the looming college decision. Do I want to play baseball? Do I want to play both sports? We'll talk about college decision and my college career in some future episodes. But again, I'll mix it up a little bit, go back and forth between sports card collecting and my personal experiences and personal history. So again, thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot.